Hi there, welcome to today's painting tutorial. Today we are going to paint some lemons with acrylic paints, so let's get started. Grab your sketch in the description below. So let's start off with some of this burnt sienna. I'm going to start making sort of an underpainting for the lemon. Just a light wash of this warm burnt sienna. Start to think about where the shadows are and where these values are going to change and adjust. Okay, and then let's start putting some yellow into that. Nice layer of yellow. See if it will blend with some of that burnt sienna. Create a gradual gradation. Okay, and then I'm going to add some of this mint green color. And this is going to create a little bit of a shadow for us as well. Sort of a gray toned green. I'm going to put some yellow along this edge. Trying to stay close to the sketch. Just allow those colors to blend together nicely. Okay, I might pick up some of the white and then put a little bit of a highlight on this right side here. Okay, I'm going to switch brushes. Let's grab a larger flat brush. This is a size 5. I'm going to start transitioning into a lighter value of yellow. Let's do that by adding some white to the paint. And then start getting lighter. And then in the center here, we want it to be pretty light. So I'm going to grab some straight white and start blending that in. Okay, I'm going to blend the colors as well. And then in the center here, I want that to be pretty white. And see if we can cover up some of that pencil lead underneath. I'm going to pick up another brush. This is a size 2 round brush. And I want to use that to do some stippling. So I'm putting in some highlights and just letting the brush do the work and sort of add some little dots here to create a highlight and to create texture. Okay, so now let's do that other lemon. So I'll go back to the size 3 flat brush and we'll put in some of this burnt sienna. Just sort of go around the lemon, put in some of that base shadow. While the paint is still wet, let's add some yellow into that. Sort of smooth the edge. And start blending that yellow in. Allow it to mix with the burnt sienna. Then start picking up some of this green color, the mint green, to put that shadow in. Put some over here. Okay, and then back to the yellow. And then let's switch brushes. I'll go back to that 5 flat. And we want a light yellow, so I'm going to mix the yellow with the white. Let's start putting that in. This painting is a little bit loose and impressionistic, so I'm allowing those brush strokes to show. Let's pick up some straight white and put that in where we want the highlight. I'm going to add a little bit more white onto the palette. And then we'll pick up that round brush and do a little bit of stippling. Just making a few dots. Allow the brush to do the work for you. can create those dots with just a little dab. Okay, so now let's work on the leaves. I'm going to go back to the size 5 flat brush. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to take this size 0 round brush. I'm going to take some of this burnt umber and mix it with some of the hooker's green. And let's go around some of these leaves with this dark color. I want the dark color to be on the outside of the leaves. And then I'm going to start getting lighter with the green. So we'll take some of the mint green and start putting that mint green in there. And just bring it down. And then I'm going to take some of this lighter green and then add that into the mix. Okay, I'm pretty loose with these strokes. And I want the paint to mix together, get a nice variety of color, and a nice variety of both the warm and the cool green. Okay, let's do the same thing with the leaves up here. So you can take that darker color, just kind of outline these leaves along the top and the edge. And then pick up some of the mint green, starting from the center of the leaf, and just pull it down. Okay. And then I'm going to do this one up here. If you want to go back with some of that darker color, you can go back and put that in on top of the leaf and create some sort of veins, some additional shadow. Let's do this leaf up here. So we'll take that 0 round. You can add more of the burnt umber in there if you want to. Go around the outside edge. And then we'll take this bright green and let's put that in first. And then switch over to the mint green and put that on the other side so that you have a little bit of variety with the warm versus the cool. That's a good trick for painting using warm and cool, and that really helps things to pop. Okay, if you want to go back onto that leaf, you can add some detail and some lines there. Okay, let's do this one here. So same idea, we're going to take that dark color, go around the top of the base, and then I'm going to take one side of my brush, I'm going to put that minty or that bright green, and then on the other side I'm going to put that mint green. Okay, so let's do that to this leaf. Put that dark color along the base and along the bottom. And then we'll pick up some of the warm green and then some of the cool green. So the warm green has more yellow and the cool green has more blue. Okay, let's do this leaf up here. So same idea, we're taking that dark and going around the top and the base. And then let's take some of the warm green with that flat brush and put that in, and then use the other side of the brush and put in that cool green. Okay. And then if you wanted to go back, you could do some detailing for the leaves. Let's actually do the branch first. So we can take some of this burnt umber and put that around the outside of this branch. And then take the burnt sienna and put that in the center, in between that branch. And then we need a little bit of a lighter value, so pick up some of the white and see if you can mix that in with the burnt sienna and create almost a light beige color. And then put that in the center, and that'll create a bit of depth and some three-dimensional shape there. Okay, so now I'm going to take a liner brush. This is going to be a size 3/1 liner brush. This one's really small. And I'm going to start putting in some highlights. So let's take some of this white and some yellow, roll that brush in there. And then let's put this on top of some of these leaves. And I'm using this to just make a little bit of detail on the leaves. These little veins and lines. And then we'll come up here and do this one. This is just a great way to add a little more detail. Just makes things come forward and pop a little bit more. Okay, so keep rolling that brush so that you're able to get a nice thin line. And I think this is the best brush to do this for your leaves. Let me put one right through the center here. Then one right over here. Okay, so I think that looks good for the lemons. Let's let it dry and then come back and put a background. Now I'm going to use a fan brush to put in a background. So we'll take the fan brush. I have a little bit of flow medium here, and then I'm going to add some pastel blue paint to that. And then let's see if we can put in this background. You could use a flat brush if you wanted to. Just using the fan brush to get some texture as well as some smooth blending effects. So I'm just kind of going around the subject with that fan brush with the blue. Let's go this way. Okay, I'm going to dilute the paint and make it a little bit more transparent just by adding some more of that flow medium in there. Let's come around the edge. Try not to get the subject covered with the blue paint. And you can overlap the subject a little bit. That can create some sort of neat texture as well if you'd like. Okay. So you can see how that makes a nice sort of brushed effect. And then you can also add some yellow in there to get some flow medium on the brush. And then around the edges, just put a little bit of the yellow. And when the yellow mixes with the blue, it creates a little bit of a green look to it. Okay. And then I think that's good for the background. You could do some further blending if you'd like, but it's nice and abstract. I'm going to remove the paper so you can see the final piece. So that is how you can paint a lemon with acrylic paints. Thank you so much for painting along with me. Like and subscribe for more painting tutorials. Check out the resources in the description below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!